I mean, I don't think for a second any of us thought that they would lose this game. Coming in, they just got too many WNBA players on the team. But boy, oh boy, was this a tough watch.
Team USA won. The scoreboard said 91-48. The stats sheet backed it up. And if you only saw the headline, United States defeats Puerto Rico, you probably thought it was just another routine blowout. But the internet saw something completely different. Because while the score looked comfortable, the real drama was happening on the floor, and fans noticed it instantly. Cameras caught moments that had social media exploding. Possessions where Caitlin Clark stood wide open, and the ball never came. Clips started circulating within minutes, with fans accusing teammates of icing her out and ignoring the hottest player in women's basketball. Then came the sequence everyone is talking about. Angel Reese grabbed the ball and went coast to coast while Clark trailed beside her, waving for the pass. The ball never came. The play ended in a turnover. Within seconds the clip was everywhere, TikTok, X, YouTube, with millions of views and fans arguing about whether it was just basketball or something deeper. And suddenly a 43-point win didn't feel like the real story anymore. The game turned into another chapter of the internet's favorite debate, Clark versus everyone else. Some fans claimed jealousy. Others said it was overblown drama. But one thing was undeniable. Every second Clark was on the court, the cameras, the crowd, and the entire internet were watching. Because right now, whether people love her or hate her, Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball. She's the moment the entire sport revolves around.
What's going on? Team USA beat the brakes off of Puerto Rico, as they should. It ain't no competition out here. Let's be real. These games ain't gonna be competitive. This is like they playing against YMCA level this is not gonna be competitive. But Caitlin Clark is being sabotaged. Hold on, you mean to tell me Angel Reese done started a game, Paige Beckers is starting. Everybody get to start but Caitlin Clark. Everybody's starting but Caitlin Clark. Y'all got me f***ed up. Y'all got it twisted. Y'all playing games. We got people out here not passing the ball. We got people ignore her on the out.
But if you actually watched that game, every slow possession, every awkward offensive set, every moment where the rhythm just never showed up, you already know the headline didn't tell the whole story. Yes, Team USA won. The scoreboard made it look comfortable. But the way the game unfolded felt nothing like the dominant performance people expected. Because against a Puerto Rican team that wasn't supposed to make things complicated, the offense looked strangely disconnected. The ball moved but not with purpose. The pace dragged. Possession stalled. And the moments that usually electrify the crowd around Caitlin Clark just never seemed to arrive. Fans watching closely started noticing the same thing over and over again. Clark would drift into open space. She'd signal for the ball. And somehow the play would move in the opposite direction. Clips began spreading across social media within minutes, with people pointing at possessions where she was wide open while the offense went somewhere else entirely. Then came the sequence everyone is still arguing about. Angel Reese pushed the ball coast to coast with Clark running alongside her, calling for the pass. The ball never came. The play ended in a turnover. And within minutes, that moment was everywhere online. Slowed down, replayed, debated, and dissected by millions of fans. So yes, Team USA won the game. But if you watched every second of it, you know the real conversation wasn't about the final score. It was about what was happening between the possessions, and why the most talked about player on the court somehow kept disappearing from the offense.
This felt a lot like we saw the influence, let's just be real, of the half-court, slow the game down, where the ball goes to die offense of Stephanie White. The Stephanie White influence, it felt big tonight. I mean, you let Caitlin Clark run yesterday, Kara Lawson. Today, nah. We're not letting her get up and down the court. We're not letting her do 17 points and 12 boards. Might make these other players feel bad. Woo!
And Caitlin Clark, the most talked about, commercially unstoppable highlight reel machine in women's basketball today, was being completely, deliberately, and systematically frozen out. 8 points, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. That is not the Caitlin Clark who destroyed Segal just 24 hours earlier. That is the version someone wanted you to see instead. The one that looked ordinary, quiet, and oddly invisible. A version carefully curated for the cameras but far from reality. Fans noticed immediately. Clips of her open shots being ignored, of passes going elsewhere, of her chasing the ball with nowhere to go, they blew up across X, TikTok, and Instagram. The internet erupted, not over the score, but over the story the stats weren't telling. A superstar being sidelined in plain sight. This wasn't just a slow game. It was a moment that turned social media into a court of public opinion, and Clark's invisible performance became the biggest highlight of the night.
As exciting as that first Team USA game was, this one was almost completely in the other direction as far as how ugly it was. The US squad just out of sync, top to bottom. Kara Lawson's experimenting with lineups and different combinations. Obviously a back-to-back. They're vastly more talented. They don't have to actually qualify for the World Cup. So it is not a big deal. Don't get me wrong. You take this one and throw it in the trash. But just when you're coming off that high of what that first game looked like against Senegal, it was a little bit of a rough watch. And
to truly grasp how shocking the Puerto Rico game was, you first have to remember just how historic Clark's performance against Senegal really was. She didn't just play well, she rewrote the record books. 17 points, 12 assists, 4 threes on 5 attempts, 0 turnovers, all in just 19 minutes. Those are near record numbers for a senior national team debut. Coaches everywhere were watching, jaws dropped. The crowd was electric. The internet exploded. Commentators ran out of superlatives before halftime even arrived. And then, just 24 hours later against Puerto Rico, a team that had no business even keeping it close, Clark was back on the floor, and everything changed. 8 points, 2 assists. 8 points. Something was off. Something felt very, very different. The basketball world noticed immediately. Clips of her being sidelined, passes ignored, and open shots going elsewhere spread like wildfire online. Fans didn't just see a slow game, they saw Caitlin Clark, a historic talent, being deliberately muted, and the reaction was instant. Social media erupted. Conversations lit up. And suddenly, the biggest story of the night wasn't the score. It was why the superstar of women's basketball looked invisible.
Team by far. But the biggest thing that I noticed from this Team USA team tonight was they weren't moving the ball as well as they did versus Senegal. They weren't sharing the ball as well as they did versus Senegal. It didn't seem like, I don't know, this might be looking into it too much. Like the vibes even seemed a little off. I'm not even gonna look at this box score. I'm not even gonna look at the scores of this game and say that anybody played overly well.
Here's where the numbers start telling a story that the official post-game narrative absolutely does not want you to see. Against Senegal, Clark was 4 of 5 from 3. Against Puerto Rico, a significantly weaker defense moving at a snail's pace, she was 1 of 5. Against Senegal, she had 0 turnovers in 19 breathtaking minutes of end-to-end domination. Against Puerto Rico, roughly the same time on the court, she had 3 turnovers. Against Senegal, she racked up 12 assists, turning touches into instant shots, making the whole team look like a perfectly oiled machine. Against Puerto Rico, she finished with just 2 assists. Same player. Same tournament. Same 19 minutes of game time. Yet the output? Completely, almost incomprehensibly different. And now, ask yourself the question every honest fan is already asking. Why? Why would a player who obliterated an international opponent with one of the most statistically dominant debut performances in USA basketball history suddenly look like she was wading through wet concrete the very next night? The answer, when you follow the evidence, is uncomfortable, but it's right there in plain sight. Clips of passes ignored, open shots untouched, and teammates deliberately diverting the ball tell the story no box score ever could. The superstar of women's basketball wasn't just having an off night. She was being muted in real time, and social media noticed instantly.
Hey, Coach Lawson. Yo, yeah, you remember that lineup you put out there with Caitlin and K-Cop and Angel? You remember that lineup? De'Erica Hamby? Yeah, let's not do that lineup again. You know, we saw it in the first quarter. It was abysmal work going on there. I mean, it was slow offense. The ball wasn't moving around. I think after the first quarter, we should have just moved on from it. You know, let's not do that again. I understand you might be trying different lineups, but man, we were confused in the chat. We were confused in the live. It was abysmal work. I mean, we were perplexed. Hello? Oh, well.
Here's what really happened against Puerto Rico. And this is the part every Clark supporter needs to pay very close attention to. The game was slow. Painfully, deliberately, almost theatrically slow. The up-tempo pace that made Clark look like a basketball genius against Segal? The quick reads, the fast transitions, the floor spacing that opened up those brilliant passing lanes? It was completely gone. Multiple observers noticed it in real time. Clark would make her move, read the floor, find a teammate in the perfect spot, deliver the correct pass, and then nothing. The shot would miss. The opportunity would vanish. Momentum died over and over again on possession after possession. Clark did her part, but the ball kept coming back to her with nothing to show for it. This was not the same energy, the same chemistry we saw against Segal. This was methodical, possession-heavy Stephanie White basketball, the exact kind of slow, grinding style that does not fit Caitlin Clark at her best. And it wasn't happening in a local gym. This was the national team stage in front of a global audience, with the entire basketball world watching. Every moment of it was amplified. Every frustrated look, every ignored pass, every wasted opportunity was visible, and social media exploded within minutes. It wasn't just a bad game. It was a deliberate slowing down of the superstars' game, right before the eyes of the world.
Here, Kara Lawson, preparing for today's game. She got tapped on the shoulder. Tap, tap, tap. She looked behind her, and there she was, staring at Kara Lawson. Stephanie White. And you know what Stephanie White said? Slow it down, coach. Slow it down. You see all the publicity Caitlin Clark's getting today? Did you see the news? Everybody's talking about Caitlin Clark. We can't have that. The transition offense, Caitlin Clark making passes that nobody in the league has ever seen before. We can't have that. Slow it down, Kara Lawson. Switch it up. We got to make everybody else shine. We don't want her. Everybody else.
Now let's talk about Stephanie White, because this is where the story stops being purely about basketball and starts being about something far more calculated. White is the head coach of the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark's WNBA coach. And under Sue Bird's direction, White was appointed as an assistant coach on Team USA for this very Puerto Rico qualifying tournament. Think about that for a second. Of every available assistant in women's basketball, the one who ends up on the USA bench alongside head coach Kara Lawson is Clark's own club coach. Here's the kicker. The same coach who runs the slowest, most possession-heavy, least Clark-friendly offense in the WNBA is now influencing how Clark is used at the international level. That is not coincidence. That is architecture. The theory writes itself. If Clark starts averaging monster numbers internationally with genuine creative freedom, it becomes impossible to ignore how differently she performs when White's system isn't limiting her in Indianapolis. Sending White to Puerto Rico wasn't support. It was a leash. And the Puerto Rico game, with its painfully slow pace, stifled possessions, and methodical shutdown of Clark's natural game, suggests that leash was very much in use. Every possession, every ignored pass, every frustrated look from Clark points to a deliberate attempt to control her output. The numbers, the video evidence, and the social media reaction all tell the same story. This wasn't just bad basketball. This was systematic suppression on the world stage.